Hello, my name is Shashank and welcome back to my channel Shashank Tutorials. How are you all? It had been a long time I have come in front of the screen and teaching something. So today I'm going to discuss about nutrition. Nutrition in plants. Now what basically is nutrition? Nutrition is intake of food. Nutrition is intake of food. So we human beings consume different kinds of food every day in our life. Now, process of intake of food and its digestion is studied under a separate branch of biology, namely nutrition. So, nutrition deals with diet and appetite. Now, what is appetite? Appetite is the amount of food we take. So, nutrients are the chemical substances. Now, when we take food, they digest and they are absorbed into blood in the form of nutrients. Now, what are nutrients? Nutrients are chemical substances that help in growth, they provide energy, and they provide immunity. So, these nutrients are chemical substances which are present in food, which are helping us in growth. They provide us energy so that we can do work, yeah, and they provide us immunity from different types of diseases. Now let us discuss about types of nutrition. There are energy giving nutrients. Now what basically are energy giving nutrients? So energy giving nutrients include carbohydrates. So they include carbohydrates and then fats. So these help in giving us energy. Now basically carbohydrates are the chief source of energy. Now they are the chief sources of energy. Okay, they are the chief source of energy. And in carbohydrates, there are three. Now when we take a look at the chemical formula of carbohydrates, they are like CN, H, X, and OZ. Okay, they contain of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, and when we talk about carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, hydrogen to oxygen is 2:1. Their ratio is 2:1. So those kind of compounds come under carbohydrates. The chief and the most famous carbohydrate is glucose, that is C6H12O6. You see, H is to O ratio is 2:1, as we have discussed, or it can be sucrose, and there are different types of carbohydrates. Okay, so they are the chief source of energy. They are the chief source of energy. And fats. Now let us discuss about. These are fats. Now basically we have discussed about carbohydrates and fats. We have discussed about carbohydrates, which we will discuss also further. Now fats. Now fats are generally called as lipids. Lipids. Now lipids are these nutrients. Yeah, these are the small chemical compounds which contain of two parts. So the first part is, okay, so this part is called fatty acid. Okay, sorry. So this part is called glycerol, and there are fatty acid chains. Okay, this contains glycerol and they contain of fatty acid chains. So these kind of lipids are called triglycerides. Okay, so there are different kinds of fats present around us. Now let me tell you these important points, that one molecule of carbohydrate, I'm writing carbs. One molecule of carbohydrates give 4.4 kilocalories of energy. One molecule of carbohydrate gives 4.4 kilocalories of energy, and one molecule of protein, or the protein, gives 4.4 kilocalories of energy, and one molecule of fat, or the fats, they give 9.8 kilocalories of energy. Okay, so one molecule of carbohydrate gives 4.4 kilocalories of energy, one molecule of protein gives 4.4 kilocalories of energy, and one molecule of fat give 9.8 kilocalories of energy. And fats are basically of two types, saturated and unsaturated. Now, a fat is saturated or unsaturated. We can say it by the presence of pi bonds in the chemical compound. Let's leave about that. Now, saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Mostly unsaturated fats are healthy to us than saturated fats. Where are fats present? Saturated fats Saturated fats are present in saturated fats are basically present in animal fats. Yeah, animal fats are saturated fats. Okay. Now, carbohydrates are basically of two types: simple sugars and polysaccharides. Okay. Now, what are polysaccharides? There are different chains of monosaccharides. Okay. Now, what are these poly? Poly means more chemical compounds. Mono means a single chemical compound. Okay. Now, simple sugars. Simple sugars are of again two types: the monosaccharides and the disaccharides. Okay. So, monosaccharides are simple compounds. They are also carbohydrates. Okay, so they contain of glucose and fructose. Okay, I think you have heard about this glucose and fructose. Fructose is present in fruits. Yeah, glucose and fructose are some examples of monosaccharides, and disaccharides are nothing but they contain two monosaccharides. They can be same or different. Now, for example, disaccharides are like sucrose, lactose, and maltose. Okay, now how are they composed of? Let us see that. Now, lactose is made of two glucose molecules. Okay, lactose is glucose plus glucose. And then, what is sucrose? Sucrose is glucose plus fructose. And then we also have maltose. Maltose is also composed of glucose plus glucose. Okay. These both are made up of same glucose and glucose, but sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose. Now, what is this maltose? I think you may all know that lactose is present in this. What are we calling as milk? Lactose is present in milk. Now, maltose is present in cereals. Okay, maltose is present in cereals. Yeah. Now, later we will also discuss about polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are compounds with many monosaccharides. Okay. Now, for example, starch, cellulose, and glycogen. Now, starch is made up of, so it is a polymer of alpha glucose. So you just remember that glucose is of two types. So glucose is of two types: alpha glucose and beta glucose. Okay, alpha glucose and beta glucose. Starch is a polymer of alpha glucose. Yeah, starch is a polymer of alpha glucose, and cellulose is polymer of beta glucose. Starch is a polymer of alpha glucose, and cellulose is a polymer of beta glucose. Whereas when I talk about glycogen is something where we store food in animals. Animals store food in the form of glycogen. So glycogen is basically made up of nitrogen plus food. Now, have you ever wondered why the Lace packets or something like these namkeens are filled? They are puffed packets. And what is the air present in it? Now, I think you all know oxygen is something which corrodes. Yeah, oxygen just it corrodes anything. Where nitrogen, it is non-reactive. So it is inert in nature. That is why 75% of the atmosphere is of nitrogen, but it doesn't react. Yeah, oxygen reacts. So that is why nitrogen is, gas is stored. And even in animals, nitrogen and food is stored in the form of glycogen. So these are some examples of polysaccharides. Have you ever wondered about glucose? What basically is glucose? Let us discuss about this. So what basically is glucose? Glucose is the end product of photosynthesis. Okay. Now, what basically is photosynthesis? We have been learning about photosynthesis since our childhood. Now, what basically is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is making of the food. They are autotrophs. Plants are autotrophs. They make their own food. So, in presence of sunlight, they make food. Yeah. And the end product of this photosynthesis is glucose, C6H12O6. End product of photosynthesis is glucose, and many glucose molecules come together to form starch. That's how the plants store glucose. Now we have discussed about carbohydrates and what is glucose and so on. Now let us discuss about proteins. Yeah. Now what basically are proteins? Now proteins are the chain of amino acids. Yeah. Now many amino acids they all bond together to form a peptide chain. Many peptides form a protein. Okay. Now why it is called peptide? So because this bond here, this bond is called the peptide bond. As you can see in this picture, amino acids form peptides and peptides form proteins. Okay, so this is how it happens. Like amino acids form peptides and peptides forms proteins. Now, what is amino acids? Amino acids something which contain one NH2 molecule and one OH molecule, one amide and one alcohol. So that is why they are called as amino acids. And R is any carbon chain attached to this. So this is what is actually the structure of amino acids. Yeah. And then what can we say? In living organisms, there are 20 types of amino acids. So there are 20 types of amino acids in living organisms, and nature has 440 types of amino acids. So we human beings have 20 types of amino acids in humans, and in nature there are 440 types of amino acids. Yeah. And in the next video, let us discuss about nutrition. Thank you. Have a nice day. Do not forget to click on the like button. Subscribe to my channel. If you have already subscribed, click on the bell icon to get instant notifications. Thank you.